Hey everyone. I thought I'd kind of give my thoughts on this whole situation with people protesting about Trump being president. And look, I know a lot of you are upset at the fact that Hillary is not president. I get that. Some of you are upset that Johnson is not president. I understand all that. But protesting and everything is not going to, make people change their minds, and it's not going to make them decide, okay, let's take Trump out and put Clinton in. It's not going to do anything, guys. All you're doing is wasting your breath. All you're doing, in a sense, in fact, all people are doing with these protests, they're just trying to be part of history. They're just trying to make a name for themselves. They're trying to get attention on themselves. And that's not how you do it. I mean, look, do we all agree with what Trump has done and said in the past and everything and has been accused of? No, we don't agree with it. We never will agree with it. But you know what? Trump is let's put it this way. You don't have to like the guy. How many people didn't like Obama, and yet he stayed for 8 years? He was reelected for a second term. How many people didn't like Obama? A lot of people. So how many people are feeling the same way about Trump right now? A lot. And it's all due to the fact of what's come with him in the past. What he's been accused of in the past. And the thing is, you can't let your differences with the guy get the best of you. You can't let your differences control how you feel about the guy. Do you have to like him as president? No, you don't. Do you have to support him as president? Not really. But there's one thing my mom and my pastor would say at church, and that is, and this goes for anybody from a religious standpoint, and that's all you have to do is pray for him. And the fact is, I think the reason people voted for Trump is due to the fact that he's more of a realistic guy. Yeah, he's a multi-billionaire, don't get me wrong, but he's more of a realistic guy. He says it like it is. Some of you might say, okay, he's blowing smoke. All right, I get that. Heck, some of my coworkers feel that same way. But you know what? There's an old saying of don't judge a book by its cover. Just because maybe the first few pages of his book are laced with a lot of accusations and a lot of controversy that normally people would think shouldn't, allow him to be even, nominated to be in the Oval Office. Who are we to say? Who are we to judge, if you will? Who are we to judge who goes in and who stays out? Who are we to judge? Because the thing is, you can have your candidate win all they want in a popularity vote. Your candidate can be the most popular and most polarizing figure to win a popularity vote. But when it comes to the votes that really matter, in the end, popularity don't mean anything. Popularity is just a secondary word. Popularity is put to the side, I should say. It doesn't mean a thing. So, just because Hillary Clinton didn't win and we didn't get our first lady president, doesn't mean you have to march onto the streets of Oakland, onto the highways like I-580 in Oakland, or do small protests here in Patterson, even if they're peaceful. You don't have to do that to get your point across. You just gotta, as my pastor and any other pastors out there would say, all you gotta do is pray for the guy. You gotta pray he does a good job. You gotta pray that God guides him in making the right decisions. I mean, heck, even my older sister told my nephew, who was scared about this, she said, look, he may be the leader of our country, but whatever decisions he has to make or wants to make, here's a few things he's got to understand. They got to go through Congress first before he makes that happen. You know, he wants to come up with this illegal immigration act. He wants to repeal Obamacare and all that. Okay, fine. That's good. If he wants to do that, that's fine. He wants to do all these acts and make all these decisions within his first 100 days as president. But here's the point. Just because he wants to make all these decisions and make them happen within a realistic span, it does not mean they're going to happen. He can talk about it all he wants. He could say that this is what he plans to do, but it doesn't mean anything in the long run because of the fact that it has to go through Congress and the Senate to get passed. And once those are, and if they're not passed, then he's got to put them away for another opportunity. He's got to put them aside until he gets another opportunity to discuss the reason as to why these acts, these plans, and all that, these repels and all that, these have to come into fruition. These have to be passed. These laws, these bills, these acts. You know, he has to give a good enough reason. And there could be a lot of members of the Senate that will not agree with it. Members of Congress that will not agree with it. And thus, those acts, those laws, those bills will not be passed. So, you can, like I said, you can do a small peaceful protest here in Patterson all you want. You can walk the street, you can walk the highway of Highway 580 in Oakland. You can have protests in Philadelphia and in Washington all you want. It's not going to change anything. It's not going to make the electoral votes turn to your favor. It's not going to make the decision that has been made final, Trump becoming our president, it's not going to make it any more different. Okay? It's not going to make it any more, it's not going to change anything, folks. No matter how much you may not like the fact that he's our president, he's been elected the 45th president, it's not going to change anything. Okay? All you're doing is making fools out of yourself. And it's not helping your cause. It's not helping the people you want to support. It's not doing any of that. You know, again, do I agree with any of what Trump has said and done or plans to do? No, not really. Neither does anybody else. But you just got to deal with it. For all we know, he might be the first president in a long while that only lasts for the 4 years that he's in office. That's all we could say. He might be the only president, or the first president in a long while that only lasts 4 years in office. He may not get reelected. You know, in 2020. He may not get that. You know, he might just try to accomplish what he wants to set out to accomplish within these next 4 years, and then maybe he will recede the presidency to somebody else who gets elected. But again, whining, crying, protesting, bitching, complaining, and all that, it's not going to change anything. All it's going to do is make you guys look like fools. Now, do you have a right to go out and protest? Yes, absolutely. But it's not going to change anything. like I said, it's not going to have the people in Senate, in Congress say, okay, we can't have this anymore. Trump, you're out. Clinton, you're in. No, it's not going to change. That's not going to happen. All you're doing is trying to get attention on yourselves. And there's other ways of doing that. Non-violent ways, that is. You want to speak of your disdain? You want to protest about it? Do what I do. Go on YouTube. Go on Facebook. You know, go on Daily Motion, Vimeo, wherever. Let them know how you feel. Don't take part in something because you want to get attention on yourself. You want to look back on it years from now and tell your kids or your grandkids, oh yeah, I was a part of that. No, because there's no reason for that. There's no reason for it whatsoever. There's no reason for it, period. Because all you're doing is making yourself look like idiots. Again, do you have a right to protest? Yes. Do you have a right to disagree with the decision of who's president? Yes. But as the old saying goes, don't judge a book by its cover. You don't know what's going to happen. And besides, it's like my sister told my nephew. Just because he's the president doesn't mean everything he wants to do is going to become a reality. Let that sink in for a moment, okay? But again, I'm just giving my thoughts on this whole anti-Trump protesting. And basically, those are just my thoughts on it. You guys let me know what you think down below.